Good morning. GE on the porch. I want to speak to you this morning on the legacy of Joshua from chapter 24, verses 29 through 31 in the book of Joshua. Let me read those for you. It says, "And it came to pass after these things that Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-serah, which is in Mount Ephraim, on the north side of the hill of Gaash. And Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that overlived Joshua, and which had known all the works of the Lord that he had done for Israel." Now, Joshua left a legacy. There are several things, many things that we know about Joshua. Let me just share with you three great truths, what I consider to be great truths about Joshua. First of all, he had lived a good life. This is evidence in the Old Testament by the fact that he lived to be 110 years old. But it's also evidenced by what we know of Joshua and the things about his life. We know two definite facts about his life. First of all, his life was not easy. Now, if you spend 40 years in the wilderness and you're helping to lead several million people, that's not an easy life. But that's the life that Joshua lived, and he lived it well. And his life, we also know that it was in God's service. Everything that he did was in God's service. He served God by serving those people, the Israelites. Second of all, not only had he lived a good life, but we know that he had accomplished his goals. This is evidenced by the fact that he was buried not in the wilderness or in Egypt, but he was buried in his own land, on his own land, in the inheritance of the promised land. He had goals in his life, and he accomplished those goals. His goals were leading over 1 million, possibly up to 2.5 million people, and he accomplished that goal. His goal was also to conquer an ungodly land, and he accomplished that goal. And his goal was to settle his people in the promised land, and he did so in their inheritance there in that promised land. Do you have goals? Well, we should have, and we ought to be working toward their accomplishment. We ought to be working towards leading our families, leading them in the godly ways. We need to lead them in conquering evil in family, at work, or in school, wherever we may be. And is your life, my life, for Jesus a settling influence on those around us? Well, these are the goals that Joshua accomplished. He lived a good life. He accomplished his goals. And the Bible, as we read it there in that chapter, that last chapter, we find that his works lived on through the people who were under him, through the people who had been around him, through the people, not only the ones that knew him, but down through generations. His legacy lived on. His works lived on. It's evidenced in the lives of those people who came after him. In life, he lifted up God. In death, his legacy lived on. I wonder, has your life been such that Jesus will continue to live on, continue on in what you have taught and lived before others? If you came to the last day of your life, if this was the last day of your life, how would you evaluate your life? Could you say that you have lived a life in God's service, even when it was difficult? Have you accomplished goals in your life by leading your family, conquering evil, whether it be at work or school or wherever it might be around you, and by having a settling influence on those around you? And will you and I leave a godly legacy for our family and for those around us? It's my prayer that I leave such a legacy for my family, for the churches that I've pastored, for the people that I've been around over the years. And I pray that that is your desire as well, to leave a godly legacy. Joshua gives us an example, and we are to follow in his footsteps. May God bless you this day and lead you in all things